Good morning and welcome to the Batavia Mayoral Candidate Forum hosted by Shaw Local News Network. I am the moderator for this discussion. My name is Joey Weslo. With me is Mayor Jeff Schielke and his opponent Tom Connelly. Mayor Schielke is Tom Connelly served as an alderman for the 4th Ward from 2021 through 2023. He currently serves on the Historic Preservation Commission and is involved with the Batavia Rotary Club. He is employed as a local attorney. Jeff Schielke is running for his 12th term in office. Before we get to some of my questions, I'll reach out to you guys and have you give a short little introductions and what inspired you both to run for this term. I'll begin with you, Mayor Schielke. What inspired you to run again, and what will be some of your chief priorities in this term of office?
Well, when you get to this time in your political career, you always start to think about, well, it's about going to be time to retire. And I had that broad thought for quite a while. And then all this stuff started happening in Washington and in the state of Illinois. There was a big idea about reorganizing the RTA. And then we got into the whole thing with the Trump administration. And so I serve as chairman of the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, Council of Mayors for the whole region in downtown Chicago. So I've already appeared before the State Senate Committee on Reorganization, and I've just done the same with the State House. So they send me in as kind of the suburban speaker, and the staff in there is really asked me to continue to serve for a while because they say right now with all the unknown questions and all the concerns about funding that are going on, they'd like to have somebody in the room that's been there, knows how it works and what is what to whom and where, whatever. Now, that's kind of a complicated answer, but basically that's why I just said I would run for one more term, was to see that help them and help the communities get through. And we've got some stuff going in Batavia right now. We're rebuilding each one of our utilities, or not rebuilding, but really enhancing them. And so I wanted to see that completed. And also we're doing some significant work on the riverbank in downtown Batavia. And I wanted to make sure that we got that done. So those are my big things at the moment. The other thing is, to the west of Batavia, the Kane County Forest Reserve has bought over 1,600 acres now for what will be one of the largest forest reserves in Kane County. It's out near Nelson's Lake Road and Main Street, and that's going to have some impacts that are going to have to be dealt with. And then obviously to the east of us, you got 6,800 acres, which is Fermilab, and nobody quite knows what's going to happen there under the current administration. So there's a lot of issues and problematic situations in the air that I felt I probably should be here to at least offer my background and expertise on.
Thank you. Mr. Connelly, we'll use this intro as both as a way to introduce you more to some of the potential voters, but also what inspires you to run and what will be some of your chief priorities if elected into office.
Certainly. Thank you very much. And yes, so I'm a resident of Batavia along with my wife and my 2 children. As you mentioned at the start, I'm a local attorney here in King County, and so I have a lot of experience advocating for clients in that role and would like to bring those advocacy skills to the position of mayor. I also served on city council for 2 years, where I represented the city on the board of directors for Tricom Central Dispatch and also on the board of directors for the Batavia Chamber of Commerce. And I currently serve today on the Batavia Historic Preservation Commission. What drove me to run is really just my love for Batavia and wanting it to be the best possible place, not only for me and my family to live into the future, but for all of our residents. My wife and I, fell in love with Batavia early on and decided to plant our roots here and fell in love with everything that Batavia had to offer. And from the start, I was committed to getting involved early and was appointed to city council after moving here. And through my experience on city council, obviously Batavia's got a lot of good things going, and it's a great town for all of us to live. But I believe we're at a point where we benefit from some fresh perspectives to face the ever-changing challenges that the future is bringing. So that's what led me to my decision to run for mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. Now, Mayor Schielke, I'll direct the first question to you. What type of development will you seek in office, and how will it strengthen the community? And how will these developments enhance the current fiscal picture of Batavia?
Well, the development is already probably pretty well refined or defined, I should say, and refined probably too. Our big thing going right now is new housing, and we've got Pulte Builders doing 2 different subdivisions in town. And we've just had another subdivision finished out on Kirk Road adjoining Fermilab. And that one has 242 homes, all attached, single family. But that's was there when that one got near it being finished, all the units were sold before they were built. And I'm told now by Pulte that they've got contracts for both subdivisions that they're now working on. The one where Mr. Connelly lives has got, I think, maybe 10 or 12 that are under contract, but they haven't had the chance yet to start to build them. And that one has 163 units in it. And I think the one on the Furnace property, which is down on McKee Street to the east, has about 179 maybe, or some such number. And a lot of those will be attached single-family homes there adjoining Georgetown. So we've got those, and those 2 will probably be 2 of the larger, newer home subdivisions that will ever be built in Batavia, because we're starting to run out of room. As I said, we've got the Kane County Forest Reserve out to the west, and we've got Fermilab to the east. And then the city of Aurora comes at us down there near Butterfield Road. And so we've got not a lot of room to grow on the east side anymore. And we do have the industrial park over on the northeast corner, and that's been fully expanded. And now we have some nice things happening. Aldi is building a major expansion onto their corporate office out there at the moment. And we've got just about 100 acres right at the corner of Fabian Parkway and Kirk Road that will be, I think, developed. We just had the big, was it 245,000 square foot building built there. And then there's a big one on north of Aldi. I think it's 60 acres that's there. So we've got about 100 acres left out there yet to be built on, and it's all zoned for industrial, and it's all seemingly clean industrial use. We've found a couple that aren't quite that way at the moment, so we take actions to get them to meet the city codes. But overall, the industrial park, which it started before I was mayor by Art Swanson and then later Bob Brown, that area really has been a really nice addition to Batavia for jobs and for the assessed valuation it's brought to our city tax rolls.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Connelly, I'll ask you the same question. What type of development will you seek if elected into office? How will it strengthen the community? And how will these developments enhance the fiscal picture of Batavia?
So the focus for my campaign and my vision for the future of Batavia when it comes to development is really focusing on our downtown mixed use area. You know, we have several development sites that are city owned that have great potential to attract new development and businesses to our main downtown district and really strengthen our community there. And hopefully, you know, encouraging, you know, projects that fit with the character and identity of our downtown. And bringing those new projects would hopefully make the downtown more cohesive, make it a, you know, more walkable downtown to connect to different areas of our downtown. And hopefully that will help strengthen, you know, really the, you know, sense of community we have, you know, that we already have in Batavia. That will hopefully, you know, that will hopefully help support a lot of the businesses that we already have in Batavia as well by encouraging, you know, a diverse range of retail and new restaurants and other businesses that will complement not only each other, but the businesses we already have and really help all the businesses, you know, be able to be successful and to increase our retention rate of the businesses in Batavia and really hopefully help drive revenue to, you know, to have increased revenue that's not going to be a burden on, you know, just the homeowners and property taxpayers in Batavia.
Yeah, I think I'll tailor my question a little bit to what you touched upon at the end, Mr. Connelly. In promoting new businesses across the city, how will you balance the already pre-existing businesses in the town and make sure that the growth is sustainable for everybody involved and that everybody is benefiting from the growth? Mayor Schielke, I'll start with you.
Well, that's a little bit of a complex question. I would tell you that one of the nice things about that in Batavia right now is that the price of the housing that's being built is fairly significant. 300,000 is kind of the low end, and 4 to 5 is the upper end. Now that's adding to the tax base, but it's also bringing with it residents that have buying power. And that's one of the things I talk with people who are companies or businesses that are wanting to move into Batavia. And one of the most common questions asked, and most of them have done the research and know the answer, and I think they're just looking for the mayor to confirm it, is what is the future of continued growth of new buying power in the community? And I think, with the number of houses we have left, between 2020 through 2026, it looks like we will have added about 700 new living units to Batavia when the couple that are now under construction are finished. So we're going to have some new additional buying power. And because of our location along the Fox River and the closeness we are to I-88, we have the ability for people to come from out of town to shop. And so that all helps our tax rolls. And we've been able over the last, in my time as mayor, when I was first elected, I believe our city tax rate at that time was $1.05. And now this past year, it's, I think, 74 cents. So the city's share of your tax bill has gone down. And we've been able to do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, the increasing assessed valuation of the residential neighborhoods. And then secondly, the expansion of the retail sales tax numbers. They've gone up really good. And then the additional EAV we get off the industrial park. So we've got a lot of forces at work. And one of the things I'm very pleased with, because there's a real nervousness now in Illinois about how much federal money is going to come in here, that Batavia is kind of in a self-supporting role of itself, and we aren't really, we'll take all the federal and state money grants we can get, but we aren't highly dependent on it like some of the other cities that are out there.
And Mr. Connelly, I'll direct the question to you now. How will you ensure that with the growth, it is balanced and sustainable, both for the new incoming businesses and developments, but also for the current existing businesses across Batavia?
Yeah, I think it's about just starting with a vision and being intentional about the businesses and development that we are, trying to attract to Batavia. And, rather than kind of passively sit by and just wait to see what happens and what comes, is, be kind of more aggressive in what businesses and development we are attracting. I think the city, council, city staff, and our residents all have important say on what type of business and development we're bringing into town. One thing that I envision in our downtown is more mixed use development, which would, along with it, bring at least some residential units into our downtown area, which I think would certainly help the businesses that we already have there, and provide, new residents that are right there in the main downtown district that will hopefully help with, typically slower times for some of the businesses and stuff, like a lunchtime or the slower times of the year. Having residents in our main downtown will help those businesses, grow and thrive during what can typically be a slower time for them.
Absolutely, thank you. Now transitioning topics, Mr. Schielke, I'll start with you with this question. What do you think are some of the greatest ways to improve public transportation and accessibility throughout the town? This can include bicycling, pedestrian walkways, and where are there opportunities to partner with other levels of government, whether that's state grants, other cities, or federal grants?
Thank you. Well, when I was first elected mayor in 1981, Phil Elstrom was then Kane County Board Chairman, and he had the idea that he wanted to build a bike trail along the Fox River. And I joined with them in supporting that. We had some opposition to that at the time from some of the residents who backed up to it, but at the end of the day, most of them, some of them have told me it helped enhance their property values. Then the next thing that happened is that we had some folks come by, Charlie Gillenwater and Britta and Steve McKenna, and some new people had moved into town, and they picked up on the idea that we should build a river walk through Batavia. And we were able to do that with having citizens come downtown on Saturday and Sundays and help lay brick and dig out holes and all kinds of stuff. And then Dennis Kintop and his construction company kind of did the hard labor. And we used the money that we had gotten for Batavia to allow for cable TV to come into town as the initial payment for the bricks we were buying and whatever have you. So now we have through both sides of the Fox River walking and biking that's very accessible, and we continue to do stuff that right now will hopefully enhance the bicycle. We're going to do some changes this coming year over on the east side, and right now we're also building up the west bank of the river south of the Wilson Street Bridge with a very attractive limestone wall that will kind of focus on Batavia's appreciation and like of the Fox River. So we've got a lot of things going that I think really enhanced it, to the fact that I take some pleasure in that I've had other mayors come in here and want to see Batavia and what it has done with itself as far as accessing bike trails and walking trails and whatever. And the mayor of Rockford, the first mayor, McNamara of Rockford, was the mayor back in '81. And he and I were on a panel at the Illinois Park District a number of years ago in Springfield, in which we had a huge attendance of all these park districts in the state wanting to hear about the Batavia and Aurora experiences for building bike trails and walking trails on the banks of the Fox River in Batavia and the Rock River in Rockford. So we've had some success and notoriety because of what we've done so far, and I think we're only going to continue to try to build on it.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Connelly, I'll direct the question to you. I'll repeat it. What are some of the greatest ways to improve public transportation and accessibility throughout the town? This can include bicycling paths, pedestrian paths, or just overall walkways. And where do you see opportunities to team up with other levels of government, whether that be state, federal, or other local municipalities?
Yes, thank you. Certainly, obviously, the best way to improve it is just making, all areas of our town, connective via different modes. Have people have the option to, obviously safely drive across town and then also bike and walk. As the mayor pointed out, we do in Batavia, we're very lucky to have the Riverwalk and the paths going north and south along the river. We certainly can definitely improve our connectivity in other areas of our town. Especially the focus for me would be, we have much better right now access to pedestrian and bicycle travel kind of in the north-south corridors of our town, but really struggle, connecting the east-west corridors for, pedestrians and bicyclists. So that would be an area where I'd seek to improve. And certainly, not only working with, when we're having new development projects, to have them invest in providing infrastructure for those types of things, but also, as your question points out, working closely with, the surrounding areas and the other municipalities around us and at the county level, on how can we, work together to implement more connectivity between, the different, for example, the Tri-Cities of St. Charles, Geneva, Batavia. How can we work together to have cohesive plans amongst our three cities and throughout the region to really, have a vision for what we want for all of our residents.
Perfect, thank you. And sticking on the topic of the river, my next question details a lot of what the community members have reached out to us about, which is about the potential removal of the dam along the Fox River. So my question will start with Mayor Schielke. Is keeping the dam a priority for you, or are you open to removing it? And if you are open to removing the dam, what can be done to mitigate some of the public concerns, specifically regarding Depot Pond?
Well, thank you. You hit the nail right on the head with your last comment there. I am a strong supporter of retaining the depot pond, and we've already had some engineering work done on that by the city to determine what we need to do to segregate that from the Fox River if that need were to arise. And so I think we know where to go with that. Getting into the removal of the dam, that's a big question because that involves the state of Illinois, and they had originally told us a couple of years back that they were going to take all the dams out. Well, now they tell us that they're not sure what they're going to do. And now with the state of the state funding, I would tell you that I wouldn't count on any of the dams going anyplace for a while, because whether they're broke or whatever, I don't think the state of Illinois has got the resources or the money right now to do it. So we got to live with what we got. The Depot Pond area is really very, very popular. If you go, I've seen people bring funerals down there. I've seen people have weddings. There's a lot of different things, and the biggest one is on high school prom night. All the kids come down to the Depot Pond while it's still light out and stand there and have group pictures taken and individual pictures taken and create lifetime memories. And so one of the really cherished memories of Batavia is the 1958 Saturday Evening Post cover of was painted back then of people skating on the pond. And we have copies we give away at City Hall that we made. It was on the front cover of the Saturday Evening Post, and it was really quite an attraction for Batavia. So we've got a lot of stuff going on that we should be very proud of and pleased. And then we were successful in getting the state grant to build the bike pedestrian bridge across the Fox River here in front of City Hall, which allows for bicyclists and others to go from one side of the river to the other. So we've got a lot of things in place that I think enhance it, and there's more things that can be done as time goes on. But the biggest thing was getting the community to buy into the idea. And originally, when we started the whole idea in 1981, there was all kinds of fears it was going to depreciate property values, or there was going to be crime being committed on it and whatever. And so over the years, we've proven to the world that that's not the case. And now I've had people tell me that they've been able to sell their house because it backs up to the bike trail, and people wanted to have that as an amenity. So I think the bike trail and the river walk is really a very strong aspect of Batavia in the future.
Thank you for your answer. Mr. Connelly, I'll repeat the question. Is keeping the dam across the Fox River a priority for you? And if you are open to removal of the dam, depending on funding, what can be done to mitigate some of the public concerns, especially regarding Depot?
Yeah, so preserving the Depot Pond is certainly a top priority for me if elected mayor, and maintaining, the health of the Fox River and making it, remain an attractive place. I think, the Fox River and the Depot Pond alike are, really focal points in our downtown, and are amenities that draw in residents and businesses alike. And so, my plan and vision for Batavia includes, encouraging, new development and projects along our river. And so we certainly need to make sure that we maintain a healthy river, including the Depot Pond, in order for those types of projects to come to fruition. This is, I think, more so than maybe any other topic, is an area where we really need to work closely with the other cities and units of government that are involved in this, because every decision that is decided up and down the river, at the other city levels that have dams, north and south of us, that will impact what happens to the river in Batavia. And so we need to work together closely on that and make sure that there's really kind of a cohesive plan moving forward, and need to work closely with, the IDNR and the Army Corps of Engineers, who have both been involved in the dam, studies and projects. And this is really, an area where, listening to experts like that is going to be good for our community, but certainly an area where we need to work closely with everyone involved to make sure that that we are prioritizing, the health of the river and maintaining the depot pond in downtown Batavia.
Perfect. Thank you for your answer. I'm going to transition topics again to something that Mayor Schielke kind of already touched upon, but we'll go more in depth here. What do you think the current state of property taxes and city fees and rates for the city? And going forward into the next 5 years, what should be done with these rates to ensure both fiscal growth for the city and health and maintaining livability for its residents? Mayor Schielke, I'll begin with you.
Well, I will tell you right now that I think it's at the moment we probably should just sit tight for a while and see what's going to unfold itself at the federal and state level. There's been a lot of anticipation by, well, Batavia, but certainly some of our neighboring communities to get some type of federal and state grants in to do things. And from what I'm hearing in Chicago, there's great concerns that there's not going to be, at least for the next 4 years, there's not going to be a lot of ability to have a lot of new money flowing into your town. So we got to then, rely on the property tax largely and the sales tax, which are two of our principal sources of revenue. As I say, Batavia's sales tax has increased significantly. I believe when I started, it was like $550,000, and now it's about almost $7 or $8 million. That number changes every year, but that's a really great flow of cash that we're able to provide to help run the city government. I don't want to speak too loudly about any of our other comparative governments in Batavia, the parks, the schools, the library. They all have their needs, and I've always tried to maintain a strong working relationship with them. But in all those cases, all those folks, if they want to do something, they probably got to go to the taxpayers for a referendum. And so I know some of them are talking about trying to do that, and we'll see where it all goes. If we continue to see the growth that we've had in Batavia, and the real estate home numbers have gone up pretty good recently with the new subdivisions that are being built. That will help ease that burden a little bit, but we'll see where they go. I don't want to get into what I think the school, the parks, or the library should be doing. They're all well run, in my opinion, and we'll just try to work with them the best we can. And we do have a partnership, and we've started a situation now in the community where all the executive directors and the presidents of the board and the mayor all get together a couple times a year and just share information about what we are doing in our particular body of government. And I think that's opened up communications pretty well. And so we got an understanding of how things are going. I've talked to a couple of our neighboring communities who've got some pretty ambitious programs, multi-millions, for projects they want to do in their towns. And as I've told the mayors in both towns that I'm talking about, you better be careful here going forward, at least for the next few years, because I'm not sure there's a lot of state or federal money that's going to be available to come in to help you do anything with any project that you want.
Thank you for your answer. Mr. Connelly, I'll direct the same questions to you. So what do you think the current state of property taxes and city fees and rates are in the city? And going forward into the next 5 years, what should be done to ensure the continued rates both promote fiscal growth and health for the city, but also maintain a livability and affordability for its residents?
Yes, certainly. Generally speaking, at least at the city level, our property tax at the city level is competitive for the area for sure. And it's important that we, keep it that way to make sure that it is an affordable place for, young people looking to move into the community and purchase their first home, for our senior residents, and really everyone in between. And so we need to prioritize making sure that this is an affordable place. And part of that is making sure that we do keep our property tax as low as possible. we've talked about it a little bit here so far, but we are facing challenges at the local government level, where things like the local government distributive fund has not been restored to historic levels, and other sources of funding that have typically been available may not be available to us in the future. And so we need to get creative in how to increase our revenue outside of just increasing taxes. And I've been talking a lot in my campaign about hoping to, increase the development and economic growth in our downtown and along the Randall Road corridor, to where if we're bringing in new businesses that are very successful and are drawing in more revenue into our city, that will help us tackle those, challenges and, cuts from other funding sources to have increased revenue from those new projects, and with a hope of keeping the property taxes low for our residents. It's also important that we, are investing and being creative in making sure that we have safe and sustainable energy sources for our future, to make sure that, our utility rates, are competitive and affordable for residents as well. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're getting into my final large question, and then after this question, you'll at least have a chance to do closing remarks. So transitioning topics. From a city perspective, what can be done to promote greater cultural diversity and inclusion amongst Batavia's residents? What can be done to encourage a sense of community for all residents? And how will minority-owned businesses and members of the community be supported going forward? Mayor Schielke, I'll begin with you.
Well, you've asked a question that goes back into Batavia history quite a distance. And one of the proud facts of Batavia, in my opinion, is that Batavia has always been open for diversity of any race, religion, color, or creed to come into our community. And that goes back to basically Civil War days, when if you looked at Batavia, we had quite a significant Black population, and many of our, I'm not going to point fingers at others, but there's some of the rest of our neighbors didn't have any. And so now we've also, with the arrival of Fermilab and other things, we've gotten widespread cultural diversity, and there's probably not a neighborhood in Batavia that's not a nice mixture of every race, religion, color, and creed. And so that's a point of great pride, I believe, for Batavia. And, you look at things that we can do, you talk about the affordable housing thing. Well, because we're a nice town, when somebody buys a house, their next idea is, gee, when I sell this house, probably the value will go up. And it has. And we've got, I don't want to get into neighborhoods, but we've had some pretty strong increases in value of homes in Batavia, which makes it an attractive place to live. But at the same time, it probably shuts out some of the people at the lower income levels that can't come in and find a place to buy. So that's not an easy question to answer, and there's not a really easy place that we could do something. So we'll see where that all goes. But Batavia is a community that is out in the suburban Chicago area. We're one of the better ones for diversity of races, religions, and colors, and so we have something to be very, very proud of.
Thank you for your answer. And now, Mr. Connelly, I'll direct to you. I'll repeat the question. What could be done from a city perspective to promote greater cultural diversity and inclusion amongst all of Batavia's residents? How will this feed into encouraging a sense of community and pride for Batavia? And also, how will you support minority-owned businesses and members of the community?
Yes, thank you. One of the things that drew me and my wife to Batavia and made us want to, stay here for the long term and plant our roots here and raise our family here is, what a welcoming town that Batavia is, and the strong sense of community pride that there is. And so that is, I agree, I think a very good strength of Batavia. And it's something that we should always constantly be reflecting on and making sure that we're improving in any way we can. One thing where I would like to, help in that regard is really promoting, inclusion and promoting civic engagement in our city government for all residents. Really hoping to, draw more residents that typically don't pay attention to the local government, drawing them into, attending city council meetings, being involved and knowing what's going on in their community. And it starts with us as a city government and communicating to all of our residents, what's going on, how projects are affecting them, and really, getting more people involved with the intention of, providing a sense of belonging to all of our residents through actively listening to them and to what types of projects and things they would like to see happen in our town, and working to address, all of their, specific needs. And so through just, improving our communication from a city standpoint to really get more people involved and, in our city government would be a very good start. And just like, any business, definitely supporting minority-owned businesses, and we already have some very successful ones in Batavia, and just, working with them to, encourage growth and be really a voice and help them in any way we can from the city government.
Thank you for your answer. We'll now be transitioning into our closing remarks portion. This will be a little bit more open-ended. Essentially, I'll just be asking if there's any topics that you feel like we didn't touch upon that's a priority for you. And then more open, what are you excited about going into Batavia's future that you could help lead and guide the city forward? Mayor Schielke, we'll start with you.
Well, I think Batavia's got a lot to be very happy about and very proud of. You talk to people who are thinking about moving in here, and I get quite a few, and also businesses, and they all like what they see in Batavia. Out on Randall Road, they're looking at the buying power of the neighborhood surrounding it, and is there a lot of people who come in and buy whatever they're going to offer, a restaurant or a hardware store or whatever. And I think the numbers are very strong and bring that in. On Randall Road, we've got 100 acres of Randall Road south of Main Street on the Mooseheart property that's already zoned for business development. So there's plenty of room out there for expansion whenever Mooseheart decides they want to get into selling some of their property. We have a community that is open, and we have the opportunity to do stuff that really makes us very proud of ourselves. And certainly Batavia High School and its music program and its athletic program, and more importantly, I think in a lot of people's minds, the football program, are really high-end things that really attract some people who are moved in here because of the presence of those. So we've got a lot of nice stuff. And then beyond that, we have 6 senior living communities in Batavia right now. And we're about to have a 7th one that's under construction right across the street from Holy Cross Church. And so we've got a huge senior living community in this town. And many of those people are here because they like the atmosphere and the low crime rates and the availability of good ambulance and paramedic service. And we're surrounded by 6 hospitals. Several of them have told me that. And so that's the reason they all want to move here. So we've got a lot of positive things happening here that I'm proud of, that we've been able to build upon during my time in office. And Batavia's got a history that we can be very proud of, because if you look at various things that have happened here, we're really central stage on the right side of many of the issues, be it the number of people who went to serve in the wars, from the Civil War to World War I to World War II. We've got all kinds of nice stuff happening in appreciation of those folks. And so we are here to do what we need to do to make this an all-around town that welcomes everyone. And I think we're on a road to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well. Mr. Connelly, I'll direct to you now. Okay,
yes, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I look most forward to and most excited for Batavia's future is that, for all the growth that Batavia has experienced and for all the good things going on in Batavia, we still have so much untapped potential. And there's really, an opportunity for us to really continue improving our town, especially in our downtown area. And I'm excited about, tackling those challenges to help Batavia grow and develop in the future. And I believe that I have the energy and commitment and skill set to really be a successful leader for our community in bringing that, new growth and building on the great foundation that we do have here in Batavia. and be a successful leader for our community as we tackle those future challenges.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer. This will conclude our Batavia Mayoral Candidate Forum. Again, thank you for both your times, both Jeff Schielke and Mr. Tom Connelly. I appreciate it. Again, this was hosted by Shaw Local News Network. I am Joey Weslo, and thank you both for your time.
Thank you, Joey. Thank you, Mayor.
Take care.